welcome to Life Coaching on the Move. I'm your host, Dawn Fisk. Welcome along. If you're new to the podcast, this is me. I just chat, tell stories, share experiences from me and many other of my clients that I've worked with over the last 19 years. Drawing on one theme per week. There are over 100 previous episodes for you to listen to. If you haven't listened to any of them and want to, the best thing to do is start at number 1 rather than go back to last week's and the week before's. It just makes more sense in terms of content. And don't forget, if you subscribe, it will just automatically land in your provider inbox, so you won't miss an episode in the future. If there are any subjects you would like covered, then please drop me a line and have a look through the website. You can contact me through the website www.milestone-coaching.co.uk. There's all sorts there, a blog, different workshops coming up, various Zoom workshops, so you can be anywhere in the world. Various online programs that you can purchase, download, own and do at your own pace as many times as you want to do them once you own it. The topic today is endure or enjoy. You choose, it's your choice, and we are in the driving seat of whether we endure certain tasks, chores, approaches, times in our life, or whether we choose to enjoy them, and therefore how we can choose to enjoy them and what we can do, add in, introduce, double up with in order to make them more enjoyable, more rewarding, and have more benefit to you. I would say I'm recording in the woods. I have listened back to some of it. There's a little bit of noise from the wind at the beginning. Bear with it because it gets much better. And then halfway through there is a break because a guy comes past on a off-road trail bike making a lot of noise. So there is a gap, but it comes back quite quickly. So apologies for that, but this is a raw podcast. I don't script write, I don't edit. You just get me chatting away, usually in the woods, in nature with the dogs, just enjoying the good outdoors. And I hope that you join me on a walk and perhaps even listen to these podcasts whilst you're out walking, so we're symbolically walking together. Anyway, if you would like coaching of any kind, career, stress, time management, life, goals, all sorts, you can have one coaching session or a few. You're totally in the driving seat. Again, you're able to contact me if that is a wish, or for your young teens. Although listening to today's podcast, you may take a second view on that. Anyway, then contact me through the website. Let's crack on now to endure or enjoy. Well, today I'm in a totally different wood. I haven't been in here for such a long time, and it is absolutely glorious. I hope you can hear the bird song. It's quite a pine forest, this one, very different to the normal terrain, and the dogs are loving it, so welcome along. I'm so glad that you're with me. Today I thought I would focus on a phrase that keeps going through my head, actually, and I love this little phrase because it kind of says it all. I could almost stop there. And that's, well, it's not a phrase, it's a question. Endure or enjoy. And life is full of tasks and chores and mundane minutiae, and that's life, isn't it? And that is just life. And often we have no choice, and we have to just get on with those sorts of things. But I passionately feel that there often is parts to these the mundanity of life, is that the right phrase, that we can improve. We don't just have to endure it. We don't have to endure the housework and dread it. In fact,
just recently my headphones wouldn't sync with my phone. I was listening to a podcast or had been listening to an audiobook or something like that, and I was about to do all of the housework and get the hoovering done and everything, so I tried to sync my headphones up so that I could still hear the audiobook whilst hoovering, and it just wouldn't sync with audiobook, or at least it would, but it was the wrong book and I couldn't work out how to change it on the headphones. Anyway, that's not important. I couldn't get it through, so I thought, well, I'll just press Apple Music then. And all of my old playlists that I hadn't heard, my old running playlists that I hadn't listened to in ages, with really fast beat, upbeat, dance kind of running music, really lively running music, came on. And I tell you, it was the best hoovering session I'd had in such a long time. If anybody could have seen me, it would have been mortifyingly embarrassing, because I cannot dance at all. I have no rhythm. It's hideous. Normally I won't dance at a wedding or anything unless I've had at least a few. And then I believe I can dance wrongly. So I was kind of dancing. I was doing a bit of a whole workout as I did the whole house in hoovering. Doing some squats and adding them into the beat. Loved it. Absolutely loved it. So I thought to myself, this is the way to make housework exciting, enjoyable. Yeah, we can endure it, and it's a task and it's miserable if we want, or we can change our approach and add in an element of, and now actually I do it every week. I just put the music on. I don't listen to podcasts anymore. I add to the housework, and I really, really enjoy it. Similarly, with the ironing, I'll listen to comedy podcasts, and there are so many out there, funny ones, and it's light-hearted. It's a light relief with a task that I don't enjoy at all. Hate ironing. So, we can change our approach to these things, and that's so true. It's not just housework. I'm talking about all other tasks, whether you've got a miserable commute every day to work, an exhausting commute, and you're all crammed in. Could that be a time where you change it and you do something with that time? You learn a foreign language, or you learn a new skill, or by reading around it, or doing a course. Whilst you're sat on a train, could it be the time that you're doing an open university course, for example? And retraining, so that you could change careers, so that you don't have to do this horrendous commute every day. There's a thought. So by changing our approach to these things, it could be at work. Sorry, the dogs have found a massive puddle, which I can't believe is still around with all the sunshine we've had. And my pup always loves just laying in the centre of any bit of water, and she really did there, almost swim. You see, she makes fun wherever she goes. It's like children. I do remember children just manage to, just with very little around while they're waiting in a, I remember standing in a customs queue once in an airport when we'd done a long haul flight, and they were exhausted and everything. But they were playing on, wrongly playing on all the barriers. That just reminds me of I do remember, I just share this with you. I don't know why I'm sharing this with you, but I remember being on a flight when the boys were tiny, and I think one of them was only about 2.5, maybe 3. Anyway, we were all crammed into this, I don't know, maybe EasyJet or something flight for 3 hours. And the guy in the seat in front turned around and really yelled at us that our 3-year-old was kicking the seat. Now, I know he wasn't. He may have done it once or twice by accident, but he wasn't sat there kicking it, kick, deliberately to be a deliberate, annoying 3-year-old. He wasn't, because I was playing with, I think we had a little Lego kit that I bought for the journey, or crayoning or something. We were doing something, I was reading him a story, and I know he wasn't just kick deliberately. If he had done it at all, it was completely by accident. So he really yelled at us, and my husband said, Oh, come on, cut him some slack. He's only 3. And he's been on here for 3 hours now, and he has been as good as gold. But this man wasn't. Maybe he didn't like flying, maybe he was stressed, I don't know. But he had a real go at us. And then it felt like all the surrounding passengers were watching him and us for the remainder of the flight. And it certainly felt like he was watching our every move thereafter. Anyway, we soon came into land. And you're very conscious of one particular person, aren't you, when you've had a to-do. And we were we'd lost track of him, forgotten about it, until we were in the baggage claim. And the boys now were really letting off steam. They'd been penned into an aeroplane for a long time. They were sort of toddling around. And I turned around only to see my 3-year-old sat cross-legged on the baggage carousel, going around on the baggage carousel and right in front of the man that had a go at us. And the look, it was like a scene out of Outnumbered, if you've ever watched that programme. It couldn't have been worse timing at all. It was just so embarrassing as we hoik the 3-year-old off the baggage carousel, looking like 2 parents totally in control of our scenario. Anyway, I don't know where that story came from. I don't know why I shared that with you, but it did make me smile. And I can't even remember why we were talking about it. But if you have got something that you've got to endure, particularly if it's regularly in terms of work. For example, I work with lots of clients who have got issues at work, be it they hate their job and they want to move on, and so they come for career coaching, help with their CV, etc., etc. Or they've got issues with a boss or a person that reports to them, a real communication, personality type issue, leadership type problem, team morale type problem, that sort of thing. Whenever there's an issue there, or it's something about career and workload and stress and time management, etc. So in amongst all of those coaching sessions, one thing comes up quite a lot, which is the total waste of time that they're in meetings, the real pull on their time, the exhaustion, that they never hit their deadlines because they're always in meetings. People put meetings in their calendar, they're out of control with it. And I'll often get them to think about how can they, make them shorter and more productive, much more focused on what the purpose of that meeting, rather than a general hour to generally discuss and get nothing achieved. How can they be much tighter, more focused? But B, how could they change it to either a standing meeting so that everybody is quick to the point and they go, and it's better health-wise, or preferably a walk and talk. And I've been doing walk and talk coaching sessions for a corporation who are lucky enough to be right by a pine forest. So all the clients I've been coaching there, we do walk and talks no matter what the weather. And I have to say, they are such productive coaching sessions. There is something about walking side by side rather than sitting intensely, eye contact and pressure on, and just 2 of you in a meeting room. It's much more rhythmic, much more hypnotic, much more relaxed out in nature. And those sessions have been really, really, really powerful sessions. And we're out in a pine forest walking. So, and I would highly recommend that if you do have issues or feedback to give to a member of staff, or a difficult conversation to have at work, or with your loved one or a teenager or whatever, it can be so much better side by side walking along in a wood somewhere. You can have much more productive conversations than if it's intensely leaning on the worktops in the kitchen, and it can get very heated and go the wrong direction very quickly. So try that. Anyway, so the mundane element of enduring all of those meetings then becomes something that they actually look forward to. The team begins to look forward to it. They all feel good because they've had exercise and fresh air. They've been out, they've got away from their desks, they've got away from the central heating or the aircon. They've livened up their skin, their lungs, their brain with oxygen. So much better. So these awful claustrophobic meetings in meeting rooms, they don't have to be like that. We can definitely change the way we're approaching it. So again, endure, or enjoy. So what in your life can you turn on its head? Can you add in on your car journey to school, the school run every day, that, it's tedium every day? Could you add in a podcast? Could you add in an audiobook? Could you walk or cycle there and make it fun and make the kids enjoy it? The housework, the boring chores at home, the gardening, all of that, putting bins out, all of those boring tasks. Can you add in something to listen to or watch? My sister always, catch it as she Sky Pluses. I haven't got Sky Plus, but I don't know what that means. I think it means she records things somehow. She Sky Pluses all her favourite dramas or series, saves them up, and then does the whole week's ironing, watching those, for example, and makes her ironing fun. Another person in our village, she actually does the ironing outside. She has an extension cable and puts the iron and the ironing board outside because she loves having a little bit of colour, and so she does her ironing just outside on the patio. It's just, I guess the theme of today's podcast is turn it on its head. Look at something that you dread or don't enjoy, or it's got to be done, or you think, I've got to. When you hear yourself say, I've got to, then it's something that you're enduring. I would say change that letter of got to get. I get to do the school run, I get to do the ironing or whatever, by adding in something that you enjoy. And then it's, I get to do the hoovering. So we can resist if we want, but that makes our life difficult. It's negative, isn't it? It drags us down. We dread it. It's a Sunday, so I've got to do this and this and get the school clothes ready and whatever. If we change that, put some headphones on or some music or whatever it is, add something in that you really enjoy. If it's cooking that you hate for the family, add something new in. Do one of those recipe boxes and get the kids involved, or do something different, or Google a new recipe, or try a new whole approach. Try vegetarianism today or veganism today, or change it. I have had just this week just a horrible week, really, in one way, not in every way, but in one way. My 16-year-old he has finished school now. He's done all his GCSEs, or at least his assessments, so they've been sent in, and now effectively he's left school. And he doesn't start at his sixth form college until September, so we calculated that he's got 16 weeks at home. Now, he is the one potentially addicted to gaming in our family. Our eldest isn't. He would much rather be outside playing sport, and in fact, actually this weekend he's hired a digger and a dump truck, and we're all three, not the youngest, husband, I and Josh, are outside digging and moving and preparing for a new patio at the top of the garden. So we're out there doing manual work this weekend. The youngest, however, is in on the gaming. Oh, hang on, I'm just going to pause this now. Sorry about that. And there was a guy came along. We're in the miles from anywhere, and a guy has just come along on a very, very old British motorbike. I don't know if it was a Triumph or something like that, with a tiny, tiny homemade, I think, little sidecar, go-karty thing, with his little boy on the side. There we are. How to make getting your children outside fun. That boy looked like he was having the time of his life, but it was very noisy, and it confused the dogs, I have to say. Anyway. So our 16-year-old, I explained to him at the beginning of the 16 weeks, you cannot stay indoors all through the summer for hour upon hour upon hour upon hour online with all of your mates, which I don't mind. He's online with his mates. It's all strategic thinking. It's all competitive. It's all good communication, teamwork. It's lovely for him to be online with his friends. I love all of that, but not for 16 hours a day. This is obsession. He's not getting fresh air. He's not getting exercise. He's not meeting people. So I have said, you have got to, right up front, I sat him down and I said, 1 hour a day, you need to be outside doing whatever. Come for a dog walk with me, come for a run. We'll go to the local village tennis courts. You can see a friend and go and play table tennis outside. You can wash my car. You can play with the dogs, whatever it is. I don't care what it is, but you have to be outside for an hour. Now, that has been troublesome. And each day has got harder and harder. And each day he puts up more and more resistance, avoidance, resistance, and proper. Each day was getting worse. Friday, there was a big argument with him until he gave in and then reluctantly did, I don't know, I think it was half an hour outside or whatever. Saturday, it got to 6 o'clock in the evening and he was still in his pyjamas, had been online all day. He's white as a ghost, even though it's really sunny outside. And so it all got out of hand. He and I ended up having a real to-do, horrible scene. I end up becoming the teenager shouting. I end up hating myself. I think many of you, if you've got teenagers, will relate to this. You hate yourself. You're talking, shouting, behaving in a way that you hate, but it's just sheer frustration. I think that's the only word. It's just sheer frustration of why does he resist and fight this? And I said to him in amongst all of this, why don't you just get up in the morning and do it? Just do it. That's my simple phrase in life, is just do it. Get it done. First thing in the morning, when all of your friends, because he's an earlier riser than most teenagers, come out with me and the dogs, spend time with me or your dad and the dogs who you love so much. You love the dogs. Spend some time outside and see what they do out in the woods and enjoy them. Get it done. I'm off your back. You know it's done and you're free. I leave you alone, pretty much, other than meal times. And even that I hate. Even that I think is still not balanced, and we keep using this word to him, it's got to be balanced. You have to get some fresh air, you have to move, you have to stand up and get your limbs moving. I dread to think how many few steps he does a day. Although, admittedly, on Thursday I did get him to a theme park with his mates, so he's with his mates, he was outside in the sun all day, and I had taken him to tennis, even though that was purgatory, because he doesn't actually run around. I ran around and got a sweat and my heart rate going, but he doesn't really move. But at least I had him outside, so I it's fine. I accept that. Oh, it is so exhausting. So it's been a hideous week, and I'm sure many of you will relate to it. And he's bigger than me, he's stronger than me, he is louder than me. I am so much tinier than him. He's big, physically big. How do you enforce it? I have now learned how to isolate his electricity upstairs. I know how to trip his electricity and no one else's. So that's how it all got to a horrible head on Saturday, because I tripped his power and he came down furious, absolutely furious, because he is virtually an addiction, and it's truly worrying, really worrying. And we don't know what to do about it. We've since we've calmed down, chatted to him, saying it is for your own benefit. It's not that we're trying to be a killjoy. It is for your health and your memories. You will not remember more and more hours on this machine, but you will remember going to a theme park with your mates, or playing tennis, or going for a dog walk, or whatever it is. Anyway, so we hope that by talking to him of stop resisting, just do it, give in, do it, don't make a fight of it. You spend an hour shouting at us and then you give in. You wasted all that time, although actually I suppose we should be delighted that he's actually not online in that time, even though he's furious and pacing. And so I think the message from today is the more we resist something, the worse it is. It's unpleasant for all involved. It's made more difficult. It's unnecessarily difficult. If we just give in and accept, that's half the battle, isn't it? Accept, this is the way of the world, this is what's got to be. And instead of endure it reluctantly, begrudgingly, and all the rest of it, just do it and even enjoy it. Turn it around on its head and put in, where you can, an element of enjoyment or satisfaction or achievement, whether you're learning something while you're doing whatever this task is, or you're getting fitter, or you're getting a tan with the lady with the ironing outside, things like that. If you can add in a bonus or a benefit to what you've got to so-called endure, so that it's got an upside and a byproduct, then it's not anything you have to endure any longer. It becomes fun. It becomes something you look forward to and you benefit from. So think about your week ahead. Think about what you've got coming up. Think about the routine things. It's usually the routine things at work, routine paperwork, something like that, or a task that you have to do at work that you hate. That part of your job that's the worst bit, the filing or whatever bit it is that you think, oh, that's the worst bit. I remember actually Sam used to say when he was at school, I hate Thursdays. Thursday's the worst day of the week because I have lessons that I don't enjoy or teachers I don't like, and I'm not with my friends in those classes, and there's not this, there's not that. And so Thursdays used to be his day that we would have a treat meal. His favourite meal was always on a Thursday. So that even though he hated school on a Thursday and it would hang over him all day and he'd wake up in the morning and think, oh God, it's Thursday, that really saddened me, that was the view, and that mentally he would write the whole day off. So that became his favourite meal of the week on a Thursday. So he had that to look forward to coming home to that. That was his kind of upside of a Thursday. So how can you do that for yourselves with tasks that you usually have to endure, and turn it around on its head? And constantly and regularly, as you're planning your week and you're tackling all of your chores and tasks, ask yourself, endure, or enjoy? And find something you can add in order to make it something you enjoy, or make it something that gives you an upside or a benefit at the same time. So I hope that helps. Do let me know. I'm going up a really steep hill now, so I'm going to draw it to a close. But drop me a line through the website, which is www.milestone-coaching.co.uk, and I'd love to hear from you. Have a cracking week. Take care, and I'll speak to you on next week's episode of Life Coaching on the Move.